Hello there, welcome to the fourth episode of the Data Vault radio show. In this week's episode, I'll be taking a look at all the news from around the internet in terms of data management. I'll be sitting down and having a chat to Petr Beles, who's the CEO and founder of Data Vault Builder. We'll be taking a look back at a little piece of information around the dangers of AI, and I'll be explaining the difference between Sora and Zora. All that and more in this week's episode. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Data Vault radio show. I'm your host, Paul Barlow, and you can find me over on the Data Vault Innovators community. It's a big free online community that we've created for people who work in and around data management. It's designed as a space that's got a little bit of news and a little bit of information and a whole bunch of ways of meeting people up so you can have a chat with them in real life or online or ask them hard questions that you might be struggling with when it comes to the work that you've got to do. There's a huge range of people there from all over the world. So please feel free, it's completely free of charge to join. Just follow the link that's in our bio or up on the screen at the moment. Now, we've got a pretty packed episode for you this week. I get a chance to chat to Petr Beles, who's the CEO and founder of Data Vault Builder. I get to learn about the board game he's creating, which is really quite fascinating. There's also been a whole bunch of information and news released around AI and data management. So before we talk to Petr, let's have a look at the news. While the big news that's blowing up the internet is OpenAI's announcement of Sora, a text-to-video generation large language model that's capable of producing super realistic 60-second video clips, more on that later. What was buried amongst this hype, though, was the announcement of the new memory feature on ChatGPT. That is something of a tectonic shift for enterprise productivity and collaboration. This feature means the LLM can recall previous interactions, creating a continuum of conversations that can enable more effective collaboration across teams within large organizations. For enterprises grappling with complex projects, diverse and geographically scattered teams, this is the beginning of having both a personal and team assistant that has context to what you might be asking it to help with. By remembering past interactions, ChatGPT can provide more contextually relevant and accurate responses, reducing the time teams spend bringing AI up to speed on ongoing projects or past decisions. This not only speeds up information retrieval, but also ensures that AI generated advice and support are in line with the unique context of each team's work. For professionals, the memory feature fosters a more personalized interaction with ChatGPT, and you will no longer need to repetitively input the same information during each interaction. As the AI remembers individual preferences and project specifics, this creates a more intuitive user experience, akin to working with a colleague who understands the project's history and each team member's role within it. From a collaboration standpoint, it can serve as a central hub for project knowledge, ensuring that all team members have access to consistent information and reducing miscommunications. Likewise, for customer service and support, ChatGPT has the ability to remember past interactions, providing more personalized and efficient customer support, improving customer satisfaction and loyalty. By learning and evolving from past interactions, ChatGPT can continuously improve its support and advice, potentially identifying patterns and suggesting optimizations for workflows and processes. This adaptive learning capability could lead to innovations in how projects are designed, managed, and executed. This enhancement is something we'll be keeping an eye on to see how it unfolds. Would love to hear your point of view on this feature. Are you using it? What have you found works and doesn't work so well? And would be especially keen to hear about your experiences of prompting LLMs and your experiences, hacks, and ideas on how to get the most from a prompt based interface. In regulatory news, Blake Britton from Reuters reported on February 13 that the US Patent Office has announced that patents on AI creations require quote unquote significant human input. This was a clarification on when it will grant patents for inventions created with the aid of artificial intelligence, addressing an emerging issue in intellectual property law. The agency's new guidance said patents can cover AI assisted inventions for which a natural person provided a significant contribution. Determining when the invention is patentable should focus on human contributions, as patents function to incentivize and reward human ingenuity, it said. The right balance must be struck between awarding patent protection to promote human ingenuity and investment for AI assisted inventions while not unnecessarily locking up innovation for future developments, Patent and Trademark Office Director Kathy Vidal said in a blog post on Monday. The rise of artificial intelligence has raised several novel questions in IP law, including when inventions created with the help of AI systems can be patented. For more on this announcement, please check out the blog post link in the description below. Amongst the slew of AI news this week, we saw some interesting open source initiatives make some announcements. One that caught our eye was the Aya project, an open science initiative to accelerate multilingual AI progress. For those of our listeners where English is not your first language, this initiative may be of interest. With the recent breakthroughs in natural language processing technology, they tend to have focused on English, leaving most other languages behind. And one of the biggest hurdles to improving multilingual modal performances is access to high quality examples of multilingual text. This community led initiative was formed in January of 2023, setting out on an ambitious open science research project. With members from over 100 countries around the world, the ultimate goal is to release high quality multilingual datasets. In sharing this open source artifact, the aim is to support projects that build technology for everyone, including those who use any of the 7,000 plus languages spoken around the world, to ensure that no language is left behind. For more on the AYA project, check out their Discord channel, which we'll have a link for below in the description. And one last development this week was the announcement by Google of Gemini Ultra 1.5. This next generation AI model features significant improvements in efficiency, performance, and long context understanding. Gemini 1.5 Pro, a mid size multimodal model, introduces a breakthrough in processing up to 1 million tokens, enhancing its ability to handle vast amounts of information across various modalities. This high efficient architecture with a new mixture of experts, or MOE, model design means it is capable of handling complex tasks more effectively and efficiently, promising to significantly advance AI capabilities for developers and enterprises. Gemini Ultra 1.5 is in early testing and deployment stage with select enterprise customers at the moment. And that's the news for this week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to jump over onto the community forums at DVIC to have your say. Remember, it's completely free to join, and it's always great to join the conversation over there. So, one of the things that you may have noticed missing from the news was around the release of OpenAI's new text to video program, Sora, because it doesn't really tie in very well to data management. But this is a particularly fascinating topic for me specifically because it's all about moving image and creating video content. And I got to admit, a whole bunch of people I know are kind of scared about this. But the weirdest thing I've been asked the most about this is whether or not it's Sora or Zora. And I thought, well, now's a really good chance to kind of clarify. Sora is OpenAI's new AI bot that's designed to create images from text. Zora is an AI bot designed to create images from text as well as run an entire starship in Star Trek Discovery. They do share some similarities, like the name, for example, and they can both create images from, I guess, technically text and dialogue, but one is real, the other is fiction. And it's getting really hard sometimes to see the lines between the two. But that's one of the reasons why we didn't discuss it here today. It's not really around data management, it's just something that's really scaring a whole bunch of people I know. Anyway, that seems like a really good time to segue into this interview with Petr Beles. Peter is absolutely brilliant. He was kind enough to have a chat to me after work one day last week, and it was really cool to sit down and learn about the person behind Data Vault Builder who came up with the idea behind it. Because while he works in a field that's really high in analytics and sort of the minutiae of machinery, he's really creative. And that's a really fun thing to see come out in somebody behind the scenes. So creative, in fact, that he and his family have started to build, well, a bit of a board game. But I'll let him explain during the interview. So, yes, the first question for you then, what's the big thing about Data Vault Builder that you think people should know?
I think the problem that we are trying to solve is not just like building a data vault. Yes, the product is built around data vault, but it's about solving a business problem. So usually what we
Mhm.
start with is starting with a business model, bringing in the business people, and that's when I started in data warehousing in 2000. What we tried always to do with Power Design, with Irvin, we created a lot of data models, and then it failed because we handed over this like models over to the developers. It took months until they returned. Our business user already wrote their own solutions in Excel, and they never understood what the data engineers did. And everybody was angry at everybody because it took for ages and was expensive. And we tried to solve this issue, and we tried to take now this business model and automate everything around it. Yes, in the core, we create a data vault for querying the data. We create like dimensional models, flat tables, whatever you need. And as well, there is a lot of complexity that many people don't understand around data integration and data warehousing. That is, like you need several environments, you need to have development, testing, production, you need to maybe have sandboxing today with agile approaches, and managing all these environments, deploying the code, testing it, bringing it to operations. There are so many steps involved that you needed a lot of tools earlier. And we're bringing all of these tools into one platform to make it simpler. And that's the basic idea.
So, how did you end up getting into the world of data management?
Uh, Probably like everybody by accident. My first
That
job
does
was,
seem to be the theme.
yeah,
That
uh, it was really good story because I worked as IT support guy, and they sent me over to a bank, and there was a guy asking me, yeah, how much do you know about data? How much do you know about databases? How much you know about Linux? It was about the year 2000, big IT hype, and I was very young. And I told him, I have no clue what you're talking about. And he was saying, okay, you're hired. Saying, why? I said, I had three guys here. Nobody had a clue about what he was talking about, but you were honest. So if you want the job, here you have it. And I started with data reconciliation coding, and got in the business like this.
that's amazing. I've never heard of anybody saying, "I don't know how to do this," and then getting the job.
Yeah, that's maybe a Swiss thing that we care a lot about honesty, about then you know what you're working with. And if you feel that the people are smart, then you can do something with it.
So, did you sort of jump straight into Data Vault then, or was it learn it along the way as you learned everything else?
No, I started first simple data reconciliation, so comparing data from different IT systems. But there, already back then, I was hired to like very existing IT system that was about to die for about 3 months to support it. And we started to automate tasks in it. Then it was extended to 6 months at the end. After I left after 3 or 4 years, it was still running then for 10 more years. So that was my first job.
Mhm.
And from there, I slowly went into data warehousing, going into all this like built-in designs with third normal form using Informatica on Oracle or Sybase in the beginning, even back then. And then I changed jobs into telecommunications, and we did more like of Kimball stuff to overcome the problems we have with the maintainability with built-in design. And at some point, when I changed to consulting, we had the challenge to do agile data warehousing, to do near real time data warehousing. And we realized it doesn't work out with classical data modeling. In fact, my challenge was we had 3 months until go live. We didn't start the project yet. We had no specification. The IT source systems were constantly changing, and they were promised to go live like one day before go live of the whole project. It was like a new product category for a telecom provider, and you knew everything was changing every day. So we
Mhm.
realized, yes, once when I was on holidays in Argentina, on a plane, I read the book, one of the first books of Dan. I was saying, this idea sounds good, but I don't have the project for it. And this situation, I was remembering, hey, let's try that because everything else will fail anyway. So why not? And it did work out, but about 2 weeks after we started with the project, we realized we need to go into automation. It's a really great idea, but you can automate it and you have to automate it. And back in 2012, that was the start of the data vault builder. So that's
Mhm.
from a project back in 2015, it became a product. And back in 2018, then we became product only company. We said, no, we don't do any consulting anymore. We work with implementation partners. But it was really driven by projects, from the experience from projects, and then from the experience by our implementation partners.
That's impressive. That's a really impressive path to go down. It means the company's over 10 years old now, so you're obviously doing something right.
I hope so. In the beginning, I was really thinking we are lucky in many situations because we were saying like, now we need this kind of customers to sign up a contract in the next 2 months, and they came. But if you had like 5 or 10 times luck in a row, at some point you realize maybe we're doing something really right. And yes,
Yes. I like that outlook. What do you do to unwind
you mean during business or at home?
at home, outside of business? Because I think it's impossible to properly unwind when you're working.
Yes, I have two small kids home, and probably to unwind, I go working. No, seriously. I like go swimming with the kids a lot because then I have to turn off my phone and have to leave everything behind, and I'm there. There's one thing to care about, nobody drowns, and have some fun in the water. So,
It's a nice way of doing it. How old are the kids?
6 and 8.
Oh, fun ages. You're just
Yeah,
about teenagers.
yes, and they're big fans of our Volti roboter that is here on my can. So they wear everything. They have no clue what I'm doing, but that's fine. They understand
No,
that
that
is
age
something
they don't.
fun because we have really nice people here and they're visiting us often. So that's
Oh,
really
that's
cool.
cool. That's really cool. Are you a sports fan at all?
Not really, but honestly, my kids started playing ice hockey, and my father is from Czech Republic, so he's a big ice hockey fan. And so I started to go with the kids to ice hockey matches, and honestly, it's cool. If I see it now as a show and not a sport, I really like it.
Mhm.
The atmosphere is really cool, and the people are cool, and we have a really nice big stadium here in Zurich and a really good team, so it's a really good fun.
Do you have a team that you support? Like, is there a favorite team for the family? Or is that a bit harder when you've got family that seems to be popping up from all over Europe?
No, 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 no. We're all fans of the ZSC Lions, our local Zurich team, because I've grown up like living 200 meters from the stadium. They moved now a little bit, but yet there was no choice.
Fair, very fair. What about reading? Other than books by Dan in the industry, do you have like a nonfiction sort of favorite book or genre or anything like that?
Yes, I listen to lots of audiobooks, and I'm listening a lot of books by a Norwegian author, Nesbo. He
Mhm.
writes some some books about inspector with really crazy stories, really disgusting sometimes situations when people get killed. But other than that, it's really good written books. I like a lot of German authors as well, but usually listening to them in the evening to relax.
When was the last time you read a paper book?
2 days ago, but
Oh,
not for
okay.
myself. I'm reading every evening to my not every evening, but every second evening maybe to my kids. So, and this is still
Mhm.
paper books. I like it. It gets really difficult right now because yes, the eyes are not getting better with the age.
I
So
know that feeling.
the problem is not the glasses, but I don't have long enough arms. That's
See, I'm short-sighted, and I found
this
out I
yeah.
was short-sighted, I think I was 15 when I was going for my driver's license, and they failed me on it.
Oh
And
no.
then I had the same eye strength all the way up until my last eye test last year, and then it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm over 40 now, so it makes sense that the eyes are starting to fade a little bit,
But does it get
unfortunately."
better for you that the two effects cancel out, or get it's just getting worse on both ends?
It's just getting worse in both eyes. Yeah,
No, no.
yeah. Comes with age, along with the gray hairs that seem to be seeping in.
Yeah,
It's
and the wisdom, let's say.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
that's what I tell people. It's all about being wise. Hey,
Yeah.
science fiction. I'm a big fan of science fiction. I don't know if you can tell, I've got 1 or 2 things in the background that are kind of science fictiony. Do you have a favorite science fiction movie or TV show?
I see Ghostbusters in back. Ghostbusters was great, the original
I do
movies.
have There's a new one coming out.
But that's always difficult with the new ones coming out. I'm now watching as well Star Wars again, but like started with episode 4 and 5, and
Mhm.
yeah, they have something to it. It's still, and people enjoy it still today. That there is something timeless to this first episode. It's not so much fighting, no much so many starships exploding. It's just,
Yeah.
but there's as well not too much story. I realized. I probably had this
I
remembered a
think
little bit.
I think the simplicity of the story is part of what sells it, especially that first one. It's
Mm,
a really simple story, so everybody can engage with it, and
mm.
everybody can have a bit of fun with it, and sort of sit back and relax. And limits of the time for making the explosions. It's really hard to make space explosions.
Yeah,
They
that's
they they
you
they
never
used to do
realize
it in a way
fire
with the
in the
green.
space is
Oh,
weird
yeah,
concept.
there's no fire. So, there's also no noises, like, you hear no start like, there's no sound in space, but it's fun. It's so much fun. The sound designers must have had a lot of fun on that one, on any of those sort of films. I know the guy that did the sound design for Star Wars, also ended up doing almost the complete soundtrack for WALL-E from Pixar. So all the noises and everything that Wally makes and how he talks is all done through this one sound design guy's library. It's really
No,
amazing stuff.
no, Wally was a great film. Um,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah. Oh, I
and
actually have. I don't know if you can see him, but Wally is sitting in the background as well here,
I, too
hiding in
small
the.
for
Mm,
me.
yeah, next to
No,
Ghostbusters, Wally sits in the cube.
no, because our basic idea is when we called our small robot, we looked for a name and we
Mhm.
thought we called it Volty. And the idea
Yep.
was that Disney will sue us for being too similar to their name. And our claim would be like, in German, it's the letzte räumt die Erde auf. It's the last one cleans up Earth. And we would call it just the last one cleans up the data. But
Mhm.
somehow Disney was never interested in us. So this idea failed. But still, he's still
Damn.
called Volty. And there will be Volty, the game. We are now working on a dice game where you can
Yeah.
play with different Volties against each other, and it will be a game for kids. Yes, you see, I have a topic in my family, and where you can calculate with dice and win some target cards and stuff like that. And yeah, that's one of the things I do in my free time.
That is so cool. How do you go about developing a game like that?
We were on holidays last summer, and we were like in France on the campagne where nothing was happening in a small village where really nothing happened.
Mhm.
And the uncle of my wife had to take care of the kids, and he didn't had any games at home except like three dice, and so he had some ideas about doing a game, and I was saying that's cool. We just need to develop that a little bit. So we then brainstormed with the whole family, and everybody had ideas, and we started developing that. And at the end, it was so good that people started playing with us. So we decided, why not really do a real game out of that? Try that.
That's
Let's try
really
that
cool.
because
That is
because I had already several companies and we never produced anything that you can touch, that is tangible, that you can deliver to people. It was always like, yeah, this software stuff that you put on your computer and it's gone when you turn it off. So just to try something new.
that is amazing. So, how far away is that from release? Are
Now,
we world
I hope
tournament
this
or is
summer.
it
I hope this summer. We're talking now to a manufacturer. We have already samples produced. We are playing the prototypes. We are writing the manuals. The manual is now finished, and there will be a web page and everything. So, yeah, that's the good thing. There's a lot of more work than I thought it is. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started the project. It's maybe the same with the data vault builder software. We were a lot of, and there was a lot of naivety in the beginning of how difficult can that be. Yes, now
Mhm.
several. We have now a six digits number of hours invested in the development and stuff like that. And now we think, okay, good. If we would have known that in the beginning, probably we had never started with that. But it's good. It's there and it's a lot of fun. And we have really nice people working with us. I think that's a little bit something to highlight here.
That is very cool. So then what annoys you? Do you have any sort of pet peeves, little things that really bug you, especially when it comes to things like data management?
I think one thing I have a lot of trouble with goes back to a discussion I had with Steve Huberman and a lot of data modelers at the data modeling zone in the US. And there were really clever people with a lot of experience, and all of that had the same complaint. Nobody cares about data modeling.
Mhm.
And really, they brought a lot of value to the companies, and nobody has seen that. And that was as well why I'm saying this is our main approach to automating the stuff. But still, we're going here. The companies that are big, that really have the need for data modeling, and they tell us stuff like, yes, there's this modern data stack, you don't need to do any data modeling, you do your data lake and everything else is fine. And see, but let's go back to ontologies. That's a basic problem. You need to give meaning to your stuff. You need to make it understandable. You need to advertise what you have. You need to clean your data. You need to look for like errors in your measurements and stuff like that. And this problem is not new. It will not go never away. It doesn't matter on technology. It's about what you do with your stuff.
Hmm.
And this goes back to what Bill Inman defined what the data warehouse needs to do. It's still the same today. Yes, you can do a little bit earlier, you can do it a little bit later. And the problem is that this wisdom is not taught to younger people at universities. Yes, there are like people like Tina in the Netherlands and stuff like that, and there are a lot of people trying to do education on that, but it's not in the curriculums of the universities that young people understand why we are doing that, what's necessity, what is the value of this, which kind of value it brings in the long term.
That's really surprising considering we're creating so much data today. It's everything creates data, so that data needs to be looked after, needs to be stored, and people need to think long term on how we do that. It's kind of scary that they're not giving people the skill base on thinking about that critically at the start of their education.
Yeah, but today you say, yeah, but databases are so good, you just store everything in your database. Yes, but that's not the final goal. You need to make use of it. You need to make to give it meaning. And I really had discussions like, oh, but if we use this approach, we need to do data modeling. We don't do it right now, and it's fine. Saying no, you do data modeling. Look at every report you create, every join you decide on, every group by statement you do. This is data modeling. You're shaping your data, but you're doing it every time in every report again and again in your modern data stack because you have no central mean of capturing this knowledge and making it available company wide. And some people get it, some people
Hmm.
don't. Yeah,
I think that is a
that's
brilliant
my personal opinion. Yeah, on that.
but I think it makes a lot of sense. It really does. Um, that's the perfect place for us to wrap this up. It's simple and painless. Simple and painless. Peter, thank you very, very much for joining me today. It's really appreciated. I'd love to know when the game comes out. Give me something to do here. One of my kids, my youngest son, is really big into these kind of games, so it'd be
How
great to have a
old
bit
is
of a
he?
play with him. And he's 22 now, so he has a lot of fun with these things. But half his games are still buried in my lounge even after he moved out. So always good to add to the pile.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for advertising all of this in the community.
I want to thank Peter again for joining me, all the way from Zurich. It was actually really cool for me to sit down and see somebody from within the industry who works so hard on what they're doing at work, but also has really clear lines in place for how he wants to work with his family and make sure that those relationships are being grown and fostered as well. It's something that a lot of people, I think, in every industry forget to do sometimes. So it's really cool to see that in action. Right. It actually reminded me a little bit, though, of a piece of content that we did a couple of years ago now around AI, because obviously AI is everywhere. But when it comes to automation, there's an idea, or it might not, because AI makes mistakes as well. So here's a piece actually from one of our masterclasses where we had Michael Oshimke and Knowles Everson discussing the risks of AI when it came to automation and data vault.
All right, Michael. What risks and benefits do you see AI bringing to the way people use Data Vault in the future?
Okay. So I would say that there's some hype around AI, right? So there's this assumption that AI can solve everything now.
Just a
Well,
little bit.
that's questionable, right? So I mean, AI makes mistakes. AI simulates or emulates natural or actually learns from past decisions. So if you have let's say humans making past decisions, it will learn from that. But what if AI makes the past decisions? What if you manipulate past decisions, right? So there's also a risk that there might be AI-driven decisions which are plain wrong, and we have to essentially think about that one and in the solution adjust for that essentially. That's number one. And but on the other hand, I mean, think about this: without AI, we see more and more data, and there's an exponential growth of data at the moment, right? So, and even in the past and in the future, data volume grows exponentially because we're producing more and more data, AI is now producing more data, and so on. There's more and more data available, and we need to analyze this data. But on the other hand, when you look at the universities, there's only essentially a linear, scalable number of new people coming into the industry, and will not raise. It will not grow exponentially how many students come out of it, right? So there's only a limited number of students who pass the final exams and become a data scientist. And how do we deal with this? There's a gap, and this gap is widening because the data, more and more data is available, and only a number of new data scientists, new data professionals come into the market essentially. So we got a structural problem for the future, and that's an issue. And we can only solve this gap or close this gap to some extent with the use of AI. It's not killing jobs; it's really just dealing with the ever-growing volume of data essentially.
Absolutely, I agree. Knowles, have you got any AI related comments?
How to govern the answers that AI produce is a hot topic. And so the guiding and governing the results and having a reliable, consistent answer coming back, particularly just because AI is a hot topic, doesn't mean that governance and oversight and those type of things will reduce. In fact, it'll increase dramatically because of the influence of AI and what is real and what's not real and what's manufactured or not manufactured becomes a real challenge. And organizations but I didn't make that decision, but it looks like you did. And so the governance, how to guide your large language models or your AI initiatives will become more and more a hot topic. And I think Data Vault offers actually a unique opportunity in that because relationships are explicitly provided as a structure or as a known within the data set, you can start training your AI models or your AI engines to recognize those as the guide rails, the tracks on which this train needs to deliver the goods on, and only on this track. And so, because it's actually the intersection of all the processes, the assumptions, the correlations within your data is around those elements.
Security going.
One last comment. I agree. The thing is, when your organization is making decisions either by humans or with AI, nobody cares that AI made the decision. You are responsible as an organization. So you really want to make sure that the models are essentially, you want to watch what the AI is deciding, essentially. You want to monitor that. And I mean, a single decision by the AI, you're responsible, period. There's no way around that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of reading in this for just for our strategic team, and it's really interesting because if you ask a question, maybe if you ask how many points are left on my license in Australia, we have points on our license, and when they run out, your license is cancelled, so don't speed. And so if I was using an AI and I asked that question, how many points are left on my license, obviously it needs to understand the context of the license, the points, understand the context of the question I'm asking, but it also needs to go and get a specific number. And that number isn't going to be stored in a content store of text of documents. It's going to need to get that from the warehouse. So there's definitely a benefit, I think, in the way Data Vault, can, as Knowles was saying, manage the relationship, but also deliver actual facts to the AI to then say, well, yes, I understand your question, and also here is your answer. And I think that that's a big part of it. It is amazing what ChatGPT can do around, write a paragraph around how awesome Data Vault is, or whatever else. But if you think about it from a business perspective, it is going to be a combination of that conversational context as well as specific facts, and those facts need to be delivered from a transactional set of data. And so I think that the question was actually what benefits could AI bring to Data Vault, but I think there's a huge benefit in what Data Vault can bring to AI implementations, from the security and auditability and the delivery of the relationships and the delivery of those facts.
Yeah, one comment on that line. We use in data mining projects, we use CRISP DM, which is essentially an agile approach for data mining, and that works perfect. It's perfectly aligned with the agile approach in Data Vault, because as a data scientist, as a data mining specialist, I need more and more data sprint by sprint. So because I don't know which attributes I need eventually, right? So I'm building some model, a first shot with some data from the data warehouse, some raw data, some cleans data, which is all available in the data warehouse. But then I go back, I look at the model, I want to improve it. So I go back to the data warehouse and ask for more, essentially. More raw data, more cleans data, process data, and so on. So establishing this cycle is great, and that works well with Data Vault, because you can quickly produce more and more raw data, more and more cleans data, prepare the data, load the data in feature stores, and give it essentially to the data scientists.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already, we've had multiple conversations around, the ability to audit and deliver lineage and be sure that the value you're looking at is actually correct. Well, we can actually extend that to say the value that the AI delivered as a part of its answer was actually correct, and we can show where that came from. So it's a big question, because obviously there is going to be AI that helps us do data vaults, in some way, in some form. We all know that that's gonna be there to help us all as data engineers. But also there is a huge part that we're seeing as far as data vault is going to help AI to actually be reliable. So it's an interesting future.
Right, that's us done and dusted for episode 4 of the Data Vault Radio Show. Don't forget, if you want to come and join us for the conversation, or to meet other people in the field, or get expert advice from experts, you can jump onto our forums at the Data Vault Innovators community. Website's up on the screen at the moment. It's dvic.accelerate.world. It's also in the description. It's super easy to find. And you get a chance to sit down and talk to experts like the ones that we have here on this show, but also to meet other people within the community from around the world, and maybe find a few common interests. Start a band, rob a bank. Maybe don't rob a bank, but it gives you options, because you can meet new people there, which is always a fantastic thing to do to help build a community. Again, I want to thank Petr Beles for joining me for the interview this week. It was really cool to sit down and have a chat to him and learn a little bit more about the man behind Data Vault Builder. And don't forget to tune in next week. Super easy to find us. If you hit that like, share, and subscribe button, the algorithms will do the rest of the work for you. Until next week, I will catch you later.